unfortunately, it's not a topic that we like to discuss, but it is something that has been happening. I wouldn't say often, but over the last 5 years, it's been something that has surfaced more than we would like for it to, and that is the closing of racetracks, really all over the country, but more, I guess, specifically here in the Southeast, we have had, well, really South Carolina has taken the biggest hit, but we are starting to lose some of our historic racetrack venues that have operated for really since the inception of NASCAR Weekly Series or local racing as we've known it over the last, 60, 70 years?
If not longer than that.
If not longer, yeah. So if you haven't heard or seen on Twitter, Greenville Pickens in Greenville Pickens, South Carolina, it's been around for a very long time. A lot of popular, successful race car drivers have cut their teeth there. But the rumor going around currently is that Greenville Pickens is shutting down for good and will be demoed and is to be replaced by a strip mall. So this is not 100% confirmed, but through the sources that I have talked to and that I have discussed this topic with, it is pretty much a done deal. I do know that assets such as the scoreboard and things of that nature have already been auctioned off or are in the process of being auctioned off. So pretty much we're losing another one of our local tracks. And for South Carolina, that is Greenville Pickens and then Myrtle Beach Speedway, which was demoed to be replaced by
nothing.
Basically the same thing, but I guess the land was not capable of being used for whatever they were trying to build on it, so now it's just sitting there.
Well, that's news to me. So they bought that land hoping to build something there, and they come in, knock the track down, tear it all up, and find out, oh, well, this land ain't suitable for what you want to build here.
That is what I was told. I don't know that for 100% fact, but it would make sense.
If that is the case, that's some bullshit right there.
No, I agree. It's crap, but it would make sense because the track was demoed, and then it sat for. I mean, it's sat that land. Nothing's happened.
And they wasted no
They
time.
basically came in and just knocked shit down on the track just so that it couldn't be used as a track.
Well, that
and then let it sit.
Tore
Tore all those grandstands down,
tearing it down. I mean, hell, 2 weeks after the last race, they were already in there tearing
ripping
shit
it apart.
Up. Yep.
Yeah, so we lost Myrtle Beach Speedway, which was an historic racetrack in a great area for racing. Something that, at the time Florence Speedway wasn't active, so it was really the only racing that those guys in that area had. But Steve Zacharias left Myrtle Beach, went back to Florence, and got Florence Speedway rocking and rolling again, which we just ran and talked about in episode 1, the Florence 400. But now we are suffering another casualty, and that's Greenville Pickens Speedway. In my opinion, there was a lot of factors that played into this from what I've been told, and I don't know this, like I said, for 100% fact. Everything is rumor, but it is not the promoter's problem. It was an issue with the owner. The owner would not sell the track to the promoter, which was Anthony Anders, at a reasonable price for it to continue to run as a racetrack. So for whatever reason, I believe it's Kevin Whitaker with Whitaker Chevrolet, would not sell the track for whatever
a respectable amount of money
to allow it to continue to operate. I can't say that I didn't see something like this coming because Greenville has struggled the last couple of years, big time.
Greenville's really struggled for a while, if I'm not mistaken. They get okay fields. Anytime that we went down there, they had okay fields, but there was nobody in the grandstands.
No. When we were there was nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah. Well, this year, most recently, I mean, they had maybe 6-8 late models every week and not a soul in the grandstands. I heard that they did not have concessions open, that I even heard that some of the bathrooms weren't hospitable, and hell, we know about bathrooms coming from Hickory, but at least you can go in there and take a shit no matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
So I guess people are just having to shit in the weeds out there in Greenville. I don't know.
Under the bleachers.
Yeah.
And that's pretty, I mean, Greenville has its roots in the history of our sport. The first televised NASCAR race was not the Daytona 500 in 1979. It was Greenville Pickens in a little bit earlier than that. I think it's like 74, 75. You can find the video on YouTube of the whole race. So that was the first broadcasted race was from Greenville Pickens. I do believe Bobby Isaac won it. So Bobby Isaac was the winner of that race. So, we're losing a very important piece of our roots, our racing roots with Greenville going away to our shopping mall. And hopefully they don't tear that thing down and then decide that they can't build a shopping mall there either.
So I think there's multiple facets of this that play into ultimately the damnation of the racetrack, I guess. I think that the lack of support from the fans and the drivers, not everyone, because I know there's people that committed their life to that racetrack, I'm sure, in every level, bombers, street stocks, late models. I mean, I know people that have raced there for many, many years and still race there and still support the racetrack. I can't even imagine what they're going to go through whenever that place gets demoed, because I sit here and think about, like, when I watched Myrtle Beach go away, and I seen how much it meant to some of those guys, and it hurt me watching it get destroyed, and I didn't even race there. Thinking about if Hickory were to get demolished,
I'd be in a deep depression for months.
There'd be riots.
There would be. It would be horrible for our economy. I mean, there would just be a lot of issues that would unfold, but personally, it would be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is true and this does happen, I do feel for everyone that loves Greenville Pickens Speedway and has raced there and has a connection to the racetrack. I know that is a aggravating and frustrating time. So I feel like historical venues like Greenville Pickens, no matter how good or bad they are doing, have to have some type of protection from the state or from a council, a county council maybe, some county regulation or something that can protect the venue as a historical venue and preserve it moving forward. Because otherwise, think about this. If these racetracks are not filled with money, which 99% of them are not, 95%, there's 5% that have people pushing money into them. But 95% of these racetracks were in their heyday in the 80s, more or less. 90s too. I think 90s racing was probably just as popular as it was in the 80s. But short track racing was its healthiest in the 80s. If we don't have some type of protection for these facilities, they're eventually all going to be gone, because think about property value, and as we continue to commercialize in these areas around where the racetracks are that maybe weren't commercialized before, the property value is only going to go up. So what's going to happen eventually it's going to be worth more than probably what the racetrack's operating as, unless there's a lot of money pumped into it, which our North Carolina state government just pumped money into all of our state tracks. Twice. At least we're waiting on the money to be delivered to the tracks, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So there's got to be something put in place, I feel like. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to suffer casualties.